Quickly, I'm going to do just one rose for you, and the first thing I do is block in with water. Just wet the flower. Arnold Lowry told us about these Scepter Gold brushes. This is a really nice brush. What you're seeing the gray from is from the sketch, but that'll go away. So I'm just wetting that one rose with water. The paint will only go where the water is. Now you see I got out of line a little bit here with it, but I'm not going to worry about that. I can take my cloth and soak up where it went past where I don't want it. You just take and clean that up a little bit. But I'm one of those that doesn't stay in the lines anyway. Then you want to drop in the lightest color, or just the main color of the flower. So I'm going to still use the same big brush. Of course, it's going to be a pink one, so you can see it. And just drop in the color here. I'm not paying attention to shadow and light and all that, just getting the basic bit of color in the flower. Drop in a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit of my Perlene Maroon now. But Perlene Maroon is a color that doesn't like to lift, so I have to just put it where I want it in the shadow areas of the flower. Already thinking about petals and light and shade. Now I've squeegeed out the brush a little bit so I can lift, and while the paint is still wet, I can lift color. But once this starts to dry, it's all over as far as lifting as much as I want to right now. So I'm showing now how this can get darker. And I prefer not to work one flower at a time, so I'm going to come in here and, whoops, you see I didn't wet the paper. Whoopsie. So what happens with that is those lines, if I don't get some water on here right away, then I won't be able to move it like I want. One of the things you have to learn to do is how to manipulate the water and the paint at the same time. So I'm going to put in some shadow right now in there. And more shadow as it's going to lay up under there. I'm going to jump those shadows together. And I like to do it when it's wet and wet. Again, I need light. So I'm thinking that the light's coming across this direction. So this part of the rose will be in shadow. This part of the rose will be in light. So I'm pulling out the light where I want it now at this stage. So I have a shadow side and a light side to my rose already. And I look anything that makes a straight line. What I'm looking for right now is things that are interesting in shape. I want to jump the lights together here. We want a light path and a path in shadow. So there you go. That's how I basically start out my watercolor roses. By the way, when I sketch my roses in this pencil, it's also the way I sketch my roses in porcelain, but I use paint and a scroller. And here I used a pencil. But you can continue to manipulate the color. As long as the paper's wet, you're okay. But when the paper starts to dry, you get hard lines, and I want soft lines in my flowers. So that's why I like to work when it's wet. So if you let the paper dry, and then you go to pull it, you can, now see what I did? I just got that too light, didn't I? So I'm going to come in and put my shadow in. And if I put the shadow in, when the water is still on the paper, and when the paint is not dry, see, they're starting to dry more. You get more color when it's dry more. But also you have to learn what colors can lift and what colors can't. It comes with time and experience, and I'm still learning those. This is Cad Red Light, so it lifts pretty easy. Okay, there you go.